Hi, and welcome to the International Reporting Bureau's weekly wrap-up, where we take a look at major stories Canadian news outlets have been covering this week. I'm Duncan Spence, coming to you from our studio at Humber College. Canadian news outlets focus heavily this week on the assassination of Russian opposition leader Boris Nemtsov. The CBC's Susan Ormiston, who recently returned from covering the Ukraine crisis, reported on the assassination for The National. Footage of the crime scene highlighted just how close itself it was to the Kremlin. While talking about Nemtsov's background, the CBC ran footage of him singing defiantly at a rally that was used in conjunction with older stills of him as Deputy Prime Minister under Boris Yeltsin. The Globe and Mail's coverage of Nemtsov's assassination was reported on by Mark McKinnon, who followed the story since it began. The Post followed the story through Nemtsov's funeral and supplemented their coverage with content from Reuters and AP. Canadian international coverage also continued to focus this week on the unmasking of ISIS figurehead Jihadi John. The Globe ran a full-page article titled Jihadi John, the Man Behind the Mask, written by Stephen Erlinger from London, focusing on Mohammed Emwazi, the man known as Jihadi John. Supplementing their broadcast, the CBC and CTV ran pieces sourced from wire services online. The Toronto Star, the Globe and Mail, and the National Post also ran coverage of Emwazi, again relying on wire services to provide content. Also featured this week in Canadian international coverage were controversial comments from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu's recent rhetoric focuses around nuclear talks between Iran and the United States. The National Post and the Globe and Mail featured this as a front-page story this week. The Globe running the story with the headline, Netanyahu's historic speech shines spotlight on Iran while sharpening divide with Obama administration. The Post followed the story Thursday, reprinting a report by Richard Spencer of The Telegraph that detailed claims from the Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Al Faisal. He said, the White House policy towards Iran could allow them to take over Iraq. That's it for this week. For these and more stories, visit us online or follow us on Twitter. I'm Duncan Spence for the JSource International Reporting Bureau at Humber College.